Teaching styles. Which one do you prefer? Objectives. Teachers will be able to examine the various teaching styles used in the classroom and identify which teaching style closely matches their own personality and teaching philosophy. Teaching style. A teacher's teaching style is based on their educational philosophy, their classroom's demographic, what subject area or areas they teach, and the school's mission statement. If you are a new teacher, you might be wondering just what your teaching style is and how it could be affecting your students. It's important to know that there are two key approaches that teaching theories fall into: teacher-centered or student-centered. Different teaching styles are necessary because the students need to be able to learn what the teacher is teaching. However, the choice of teaching styles used can also depend on the school mission statement, the classroom demographics, the educational philosophy of the teacher, and most importantly, the subject area. Once you understand that everybody learns differently, it becomes obvious that there needs to be different teaching styles to accommodate the different learning styles. We are now going to take a look at the two main categories of teaching: teacher-centered and student-centered. First up are the teacher-centered approaches. In the teacher-centered approaches, all eyes are on the teacher. Students work independently and rarely in groups. They are quiet and make individual decisions. However, a student may suffer in their communication skills and feel unable to ask questions due to the fact they normally work alone and quietly. Plus, this classic method is sometimes thought of as dull and uninteresting. The authority lecture style, also known as the direct instruction style. Direct instruction is the use of straightforward, explicit teaching techniques, usually to teach a specific skill. It is a teacher's directed method, meaning that the teacher stands in front of a classroom and presents the information. Here are a few pros and cons of the authority style of teaching. Pros. This style is acceptable in higher education disciplines and with large groups of students. The lecture style is suitable for subjects like history, which call for memorization of facts. Cons. It's not an ideal model for teaching children because there's little interaction with the teacher. Plus, it can get a little boring. That's why it's a better approach for older, mature students. The demonstrator or coach style. Like the lecture or authority style of teaching, the demonstrator retains authority in the classroom. However, instead of relying solely on verbal lecture, the demonstrator style combines lectures with other teaching forms, including multimedia presentations, demonstrations, and class activities. This style is particularly well suited to music, art, and physical education subjects, where demonstrations are required to fully understand a topic. In other areas of study, however, the demonstrator style may not be suitable. Like the authority style, there is little direct teacher-to-pupil interaction, so it can be difficult to accommodate the needs of all students. Here are some pros and cons of the demonstrator style of teaching. Pros. This style gives teachers opportunities to incorporate a variety of formats to present information. Cons. Although it is well suited for teaching a variety of subjects, it is hard to tend to the needs of individual students using this style of teaching. Let's take a look at the pros of using a teacher-centered approach. 1, a large amount of information can be shared in a short amount of time. 2, the teacher has control of organization. 3, the teacher has control of pacing and content. 4, accommodates large numbers of students. And 5, it allows for quick and easy assessment methods. On the flip side, the cons of using a teacher-centered approach are: the teacher controls the knowledge being taught. Communication only happens one way, from teacher to student. This approach isn't conducive to critical thinking. Teacher-centered approaches promote passive learning, which is a method of learning where students receive information from the instructor and internalize it. It is a method where the learner receives no feedback from the instructor. And finally, these approaches are not considered the best way for students to learn information. This next section is all about student-centered approaches. The student-centered approach to learning allows more interaction between the students and the teacher. Communication is more open and collaboration is welcome. However, since students are talking, classrooms may be noisier and may be more difficult to manage. The facilitator or activity style. Teachers who adopt a facilitator or activity-based style encourage self-learning in the classroom through increased peer-to-teacher learning. Unlike the lecture style, teachers ask students to question rather than simply have the answer given to them. In this style, activities are used to promote self-discovery and develop problem-solving skills, which can often lead to the student developing a much deeper understanding of the topic. Here are a few pros and cons of the facilitator style. Pros: this style trains students to ask questions and helps develop skills to find answers and solutions through exploration. It is ideal for teaching science and similar subjects. Cons: it challenges the teacher to interact with students and prompts them towards discovery rather than lecturing facts and testing knowledge through memorization. So, it is a bit harder to measure success in tangible terms. The delegator, also known as the group style. As a delegator, the teacher may take an observer role to promote collaboration and encourage peer-to-peer learning. This style is more conducive to group activities. Some pros and cons of the delegator style are: pros: guided discovery and inquiry-based learning place the teacher in an observer role that inspires students by working in tandem towards goals. Cons: considered a modern style of teaching, it is sometimes criticized as eroding teacher authority. As a delegator, the teacher acts more as a consultant rather than the traditional authority figure. Here are some pros to the student-centered approach to teaching. It engages students in the learning process. It encourages students to take ownership of their knowledge. It allows for varied assessment strategies. It fosters critical thinking. It addresses multiple learning styles. It promotes active learning. And finally, it provides real-life connections. Let's take a look at some cons of a student-centered approach. Students may resist new approaches. It's more difficult to implement with large numbers of students. It can be more time-consuming than lecturing. Finally, it may not be effective in all subject areas. Regardless of the cons, the results of educational research studies as well as anecdotal evidence generally show that interactive, student-driven teaching results in successful learning for a broader range of learning styles. The last teaching style we will explore in this lesson is the hybrid or blended style of teaching. Some teachers adopt an integrated teaching style that incorporates their personality, preferences, and interests into their teaching. This strategy is known as the hybrid style and is popular in subjects like English, science, and religious studies. Let's take a look at a few pros and cons of using the hybrid or blended teaching style. Pros: it's inclusive, and it enables teachers to tailor their styles to student needs and appropriate subject matter. Cons: hybrid style runs the risk of trying to be too many things to all students, prompting teachers to spread themselves too thin and dilute learning. Because teachers have styles that reflect their distinct personalities and curriculum, from math and science to English and history, it's crucial that they remain focused on their teaching objectives and avoid trying to be all things to all students. We have reached the end of Lesson 5. Here are a few questions. Which teaching style best fits your philosophy and subject area? Why? Write your responses in the space provided in the workbook. Really put some thought into your responses. Again, this will guide your decisions when we reach Module 2, which is the planning phase of this course. Remember to write your responses or answers in the workbook.